All right, so we're back here again, and so coming over. It's Wednesday, so it means that we're, or I guess this is a Wednesday when it gets posted. Is it? I don't know. But I don't have an editor. I should probably know that kind of stuff. If I ever become pro, maybe that will be. But just going over a couple questions that have come up for the Packback again. This is I love doing this because I like seeing what you guys think about. And it's really interesting for me to see like what's on y'all's mind and how you think about things larger related to that. So there's nothing like wrong with anyone else's questions. These are just two that I picked out. So first question that we're looking at is from Janahi Arumbala, who asks, how would enforcing the death penalty help bring our society wealth up? Because she notes that people living in jail live comfortably. They have a lot of benefits, people like who are homeless, lost their job, struggle to have a meal during the day, they're sleeping. So really empathetic, reducing the benefits for people in jail, such as TV, good meals, things that require more money and use that help homeless. So she wants to see a change in society by focusing on homeless people rather than money being spent on people in prison. So I guess what she's trying to get at, so we had just talked about deterrence theory, is that, is it really a deterrent to people if people are, living the high life up in jail or prison rather than, feeling like a fear or pain of punishment than that? How can we redirect this money? So prison systems are incredibly expensive. I think in California now the average to house like one inmate per year is like $80,000 or something like that. And a lot of the rising costs are due to medical costs, right? Because we lock up people in longer, we have to pay for the medical care, right? Like if you have cancer, we can't like let you die, right? Or if you have a heart attack, or if you're bleeding with an arm, what ends up happening with that is that if you are in that situation, and you exhibit deliberate indifference to someone's condition, then really comes down to like you don't give a shit. Didn't mean to swear, my bad. And you like let someone get ill. So a lot of the costs that are born to that are medically induced. But if we decrease the amount of people who go to prison, which is maybe a bigger question, instead of making it cushy, then perhaps that'd be better for society. And I think most people would agree that if we maybe like made people less if we got rid of prison as a punishment, we redirected that, maybe that would be a better form of punishment. With respect to it being cushy, though, I always take this time to recommend people do an internship in a jail or a prison or something like that to see what it's really like. I would say that they don't really have that many good meals. Like every jail that I've been to, like on a tour or something like that, I also did an internship at a jail when I was an undergrad for like a couple of weeks. It wasn't good, right? Like states or government counties are really invested in like making sure one can save money because they're broke usually, and they don't have the money to give elaborate meals because to feed people 3 times a day because they're required by law. And like everything was like the grossest canned corn, like a slice of bologna with a spot of mayo on it, and the weakest of white bread, right? And they get the same meal like every day. It's consistent, it meets dietary like needs, right? But I wouldn't call it good food. A lot of the other stuff like TV and stuff like that, those are funded by commissary dollars that inmates, families will put into place and say like, here's something, to make maybe your time a little bit easier. And perhaps there are arguments to be made that, if we have people who are in prison and we, have them idle their time, maybe they're less dangerous to other inmates or to security officers. So there's some debate as far as like what is ultimately going to be good. If it makes you feel any better, a lot of the people who come home to prison don't have good jobs or anything. They do become homeless. So maybe if they were living the cushy life inside, they're not living so cushy on the outside, right? Usually not, because they usually can't get a job. It's hard. They can't get housing. They have a criminal record, gaps in employment history. So maybe some people might argue that the punishment on being outside after doing time and allegedly serving your time is worse than maybe going to prison in the first place. Debatable. But the point is that there's a lot of things that uncover, and it's easy to see, like we see people have like these benefits, and that's what gets reported, and to feel like, oh, well, that's wrong. How dare they? They don't deserve it. Different question. Let me ask you guys this. So I'm originally from Texas, and there was a bill that was coming into place to see about getting air conditioning in Texas prisons because prisons are built as cheap as possible to be secure. They're not made for luxury, so they're usually like concrete buildings. And like in California, it can get pretty hot in Texas, right? The problem is that it stays hot from like April until like October, sometimes November. That is not a joke. Plus it's humid. Here it's dry. But inside like the prison, right, temperatures, because it's a concrete oven basically, can get as high as 140. And so they wanted to put in air conditioning units so that people wouldn't, to just get it down to 80 during the day instead of, like 140. Because, people were dying from the heat inside the prison. I'm sure that happens too in California, but I just remember this example from Texas, and they wouldn't vote on it. They wouldn't vote to put air conditioning in because why would we want to give air conditioning to inmates? Which, interesting, right? Like, these people are human. They were literally dying of heat exhaustion. Like, you know what? Screw them, right? Who cares? An interesting debate. Like what actually happens in prisons? Are they actually getting as good of a benefit? Is there a better way to go about this? But, also if we limit the use of prison, how can we reinvest in society? And how would you guys see it? She notes having homeless aid. Do you think that's the best use for the money or not? And with a different question then, this is from Yesenia Kota, who asks, how do deterrence theories work for those who don't care about punishment? So, that is an interesting question, right? Is that oftentimes we rely on prison to serve as an indicator of punishment because people don't want to be locked up. They want to be with their families. They want to not have a job, things like that. So how does it work when people don't care about the punishment? Well, if people aren't fearful of punishment, then they really don't care about the consequences, right? So it's not really a big deal. And, maybe they get caught and they'll keep offending, right? It is a risk. That's not necessarily good. I guess the question is then, if we send people to prison, then do we just incapacitate them and keep them locked up? So if they're not fearful, they're going to continue to reoffend. Maybe we just keep them locked up, right? So, it's their behavior is restricted then, or because they're incapacitated. The other part to consider is that if maybe we don't have specific deterrence, right? So we give people a prison punishment, and we can't get to that one person, right? If you think about punishment in general, though, we're usually trying to have the most utility. And so threat of prison then probably certainly deters people who, in general, right, in the population, maybe not everyone, certainly not everyone, and, some people aren't going to be prone to committing crime in the first place, but, if there is a general deterrent effect, so maybe we didn't get to that one person, but we got to many more people, is it still worth it, right? Having said that, then, it leads to a different question, is that if the punishments aren't felt equally across people, and we know that some people respond better to other things, so we give this person this treatment, we give this person this treatment, and this is your punishment, right? And we're all trying to deter crime. Is it fair that people receive different punishments, even for the same crime, but we believe that this is going to be more effective for this person, and this is going to be more effective to this person? Now, society, if we believe that one is more severe than the other, whatever that means, is that fair? So I guess that's a different question then, is like, if we give different punishments for different crimes and we believe that it's because one's going to be more of a deterrent for the other and the other's not going to work on the other person, is that right? Is that fair? I don't know. You guys should talk about that though. But for now, I'll see you guys next set of videos.